Any trip to downtown Buffalo includes a stop at the intersection of past glory and future expectations. The president and chief executive of the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership told 2 on Your Side that rates to rent commercial property are as healthy as they've ever been. But commercial real estate brokers worry about news about large employers like M&T, which plan to cut their footprint and rent less space in the future. And of course, just this week, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York announced its plans to consolidate its space into the top 4 or 5 floors at Seneca One Tower. When the move is finished, Highmark of Western New York will have cut its downtown office space footprint by almost 89%. So what do we make of all this? Our Ron Plants has been digging into this issue, and I know Ron talked with the county executive today. Look, we've discussed this really since the end of the pandemic, right? The thought was, how many people are going to stay working remote? How many of them are going to come back into all these offices that we have, not just here, but really around the country? And it seems like this week a few things have come together to sort of raise the alarm for people about this.
Yeah, in particular, Michael, we talked to the county executive, as you pointed out, and Mark Polenkars told us that they are hearing from more landlords now that they are increasingly worried about this trend, which is also going on around the country in some of the bigger cities. But here in Buffalo, they do say that they're more concerned with seeing this Highmark move, as you referred to, going from 400,000 square feet down to 200,000 square feet for commercial office space. And he says, ultimately, here's the concern. He says, if those landlords are not getting the rent from that commercial office space, then he says they have debts, they have mortgages, they may face problems. And he said, yeah, okay, it's dire case, but maybe you could see defaults and even some foreclosures on these big office areas. And again, this may be really way down the road and somewhat exaggerated, but it is a very real concern. What does that mean to us? Well, those businesses also pay property taxes.
Right.
And the concern could be that you might have less taxes coming in because some of the business owners, building owners may say, hey, we shouldn't be assessed as much in terms of our property value. So that could be a concern as well.
Yeah, and when you think about the conversation with the county executive, you wonder what the role of government is with this, if at all. I mean, is it really just kind of raising the alarm about it and talking about the tax issue, or is there a government function?
Well, I think they're trying to figure that out, Michael. In fact, Dottie Gallagher, who we referred to with the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership, I guess they did have something called Buffalo Business Reuse back in like 2010, 2011, where they were kind of looking at some of these questions about how the business office community was doing things. And she said they may actually revive that program in discussions with the city of Buffalo to try to look at this a little more and talk to more of the landlords, more of the bigger developers who own these properties, and try to get their feeling of where they think this may be going. Because we spoke also to a property brokerage gentleman, Mr. Militello, Jim Militello, and he had said, hey, you know, this is a permanent trend. This is not going to stop anytime soon. So businesses and these developers and landlords are going to have to be able to adjust.
I've only got about a minute left, but the other thing that sticks in my mind is I think back, 5-10 years ago, Seneca One, which is where M&T is moving, was completely empty. There were talks of tearing it down, and now it's almost completely full. So this isn't a new worry necessarily. It's just different now because of the pandemic. It's a different concern.
But of course, we had our good friend, and some say he's the savior, who, in fact, they were default on their mortgage. I believe it was a property broker down in Miami that actually had the mortgage, and they were trying to figure out what was going to happen to that huge building. But they did figure it out eventually.
And mixed use is the big term where they all say if you want to make these buildings work, maybe you got to get more creative with them.
Especially downtown.
Yeah, a conversation to continue. Ron Plants, thanks for coming in on short notice to talk about this.
Michael.
I appreciate it.